Alright guys, I got you a previous repair attempt. The guy tried to replace his gauges himself and it was not successful. This one I believe was a 2003 Silverado, mailed to me from Milton, Florida. As you can see, I took the lens off already and he hit that guy there with the soldering iron, it looks like, damaged that. And then we got the little normal scratches at the bottom of the screen from trying to pry up. Well, let's power it up and see what it does. According to the customer, according to him, the field gauge wasn't working, which clearly isn't. He said the idiot light works, so that's an indication that the sending unit in the truck is telling it if he has gas or not. And yeah, wow, he did not get the zero even close to correct on these. He said he followed some video he saw on YouTube of how to fix it, and this is what we ended up with. So let's go ahead and shut it off, pull these guys off. So these should come off pretty easily since it's already been worked on before. Normally these previous repair attempts, you don't end up needing using the pry tool to get the needles off of them. So let's see, that one might. Yeah, he stuck some of these pretty far down. These couple over here are dragging on it, so you don't need to cram them down to the top of the motor here. That's not good for me. Here we go. Get my old pry tool. There we go. Oop. Dropping stuff. Sorry if that's loud. But yeah, let's go ahead and take this guy off. Just pull little tabs, and she'll come right off. And there we go. All right, still got all the original bulbs in there. Looks like yeah, he replaced all of them. I guess he tried to add a trans temp. But he doesn't have a hole in it for it. So let's go ahead and take this guy out. Alright, let's flip it over and take a look here. Oh, look at that. That's that might be your problem there. There's some big solder blobs trying to make a connection. Doesn't look like there's anything there for them to connect to though. So yeah, I guess I'll get to work on this one. Try to get some recording on the microscope for you guys this time. So we'll see how that goes. So give me a minute here. Alright, so here I'm going to just go ahead and start desoldering all of them. It's easier to just start fresh, and that way you don't have any problems come up down the line. Looking at this, it looks like one guy tried to do the first one and then passed it on to the next guy after that, because these don't look half bad. I mean, they don't look great, but they don't look that bad. Alright, this one, trash. Alright, and then this guy wanted blue LED. I don't know what he was doing with the trans temp one on there. I guess he was just curious if it would work, but it probably would have, except he burned away all the traces there again, so I don't know what was going on there. He didn't mention anything about trying to add trans temp to it, so I don't know. But this cluster actually is a refurbished cluster from Delphi, or Delphi, or however you say it. I don't know. It's got a refurbished sticker on the back of it, but I guess they used C5s. I don't know how long ago that was. I'd have to look at it to see if it has a date on it. But yeah, so there we go. So you wanted blue LED, and I'm gonna just reuse his X27s because these things don't go bad. And then yeah, reflow all of these spots. He didn't get any of them, so yeah, start with that. Alright, so as you saw on the last scene, I redid the traces going to the fuel stepper motor, and probably just going to wrap up the video here just with the test of it. We'll see if it works. I went ahead and put another stepper motor on from we knew worked on that side. But yeah, let's go ahead first, power it up, see what we get. And there we go, we got a working fuel gauge now. Just a quick note on it though. So I didn't show it, but I reflowed all of these and here and there. And I'm not gonna end up showing the rest of just the finishing up of it, just because it's kind of takes a lot of time to record and do the work at the same time. I tried to do everything in one shot, so that way it saves time. But since I used the microscope this time, there's gonna be a little bit of editing involved. But they're pretty simple. With these ones where you have to replace all the traces, I put a little bit of clear silicone RTV on it. I don't know if it's showing up in the camera, but just so that way in the future, if somebody goes and pulls it out, it doesn't come right off. But the silicone's easy enough to get off if you do have to replace it in the future. It's not too hard. It's a little, it's a little more sturdy than hot glue, but a little bit, it's a whole lot weaker than putting like epoxy on there. So yeah, that way it's not permanent, but it gets the job done. But yeah, the rest of the rebuild's gonna be pretty straightforward. Just gotta put the stepper motors back on, put the LEDs in, and put it back together. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this rebuild. Maybe in the future I'll do a video on these guys. They're just little 12-volt individually addressable LEDs, so you can do a nice little display there. And you don't have to use a buck converter like the other ones you see on YouTube. The other guys use 5-volt LEDs, so you have to use a DC to DC buck and drop that 12 volts down to 5 volts so you don't fry them. I've done those before, but I use cheap buck converters, and sometimes they'll spike over 5 volts and then just fry all your LEDs. So that always sucks when that happens. So if you do use the 5-volt LEDs, just stay away from cheap converters. Get yourself a nice, decent one. Learn from my mistakes. But I figured I'd give this a shot. These are going to be a pain in the ass, so, well, pain in the butt. I want to get monetized. I want to get monetized eventually. But yeah, this one that pretty much wraps up this rebuild for you guys. Guy didn't want his name mentioned, but and I won't, but I think he actually did a really good job on all the other stepper motors. A lot of times these self-repair attempts, they just, like, every single one of the stepper motors looks like that Fuel one did. So I think he should be proud of his attempt on here. I don't think I'm not just trying to be nice, you know. He did a decent job. Most guys, when they try to fix these things, they really just rip all their traces off of there. But yep. Oh, and another one. You'll notice a lot of times if you're doing these for other people, the fuel, check engine light and ABS light will be missing off of there. Always ask them before you put them back on. They might have just like a fault code that they know they're gonna never fix. Like maybe the engine knock sensor is gone, and you know it's just a real pain to get to that knock sensor on these, or the ABS module's out, and you know they just particularly want their instrument cluster to be like that. They're not out trying to deceive people, you know, they're tired of staring at the lights. So if you go put it back on, what's going to happen is when they get it back, they're going to take all the needles off and they're going to come back and pop it right back off. So yeah, check with your customer before you fix it, you know. Also, don't just assume they don't want it fixed, you know. Contact them, be like, hey, you know, hey, this is missing. Did you just buy this truck or something? And then they'll be like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh man, let me go get my scanner out and check it, because you know, they didn't know what was going on there. So let them know, but don't just, you know, assume they want it fixed either, because then what'll end up happening is they'll pull all of these off, rip it off, put them back on, and then now their needles aren't set right anymore, and they just paid you a bunch of money to do it right. So if that's what's going on, just check with them before you go doing stuff that they didn't want. I think that's it, you know. Hopefully I'll start getting some more videos up and can get some more subscribers, you know. Like and subscribe so that way I can possibly get monetized one day in the future. All right, thank you. Bye. Alright guys, I didn't actually think I was going to end this without showing you it working. Nope. Alright, let's take a look at it. So as you can see, all the stepper motors moved. I mean, I guess I didn't set them up so you could really see them rotate, but yep, they all came on, and we got blue LEDs throughout, and everything is functioning as it should. He did not want his it rebooted. Wires are loose on my connector there, but he didn't want his check engine light put back on that was missing, and he did not want his ABS light back on that was missing, so he doesn't have them. In his state of Florida, they don't do inspections, so he said leave it off. I don't want it on there because it's really obnoxious. So I left it off. I guess he's the one that took it off originally, but that's his choice to make. I didn't want to put it back on there for him to just pull it right off. I did contact him beforehand, but if you're gonna do that, make sure that it's legal in your state, I guess, because you know you don't want to be leaving all these parts off and then them come back complaining, hey, I failed an emissions test because of you or whatever. You know, make sure you contact them if you have problems like that. I guess I'm going off on a tangent here, but yeah, just, you know, make sure what you're doing for people's legal. You know, don't just be changing the odometer willy-nilly. You know, if they have a real reason for it, I guess go for it. But I would, you know, people contact me probably once a month being like, hey, I want my odometer changed because I put a new engine in, or I you know, I just don't like what it says. You know, that's illegal. You know, you can face a really big fine for doing it. So don't be going out just changing odometers because you feel like it, or because you think, oh man, this is so high. You know, I just want a little lower. Can you do that? No, sorry, I can't. I'm not gonna face a $10,000 fine for doing that. So yeah, just make sure what you're doing is right on these things, and make sure you're doing what the customer wants on there. Don't just do stuff because you think it'll look good or whatever. Um, if you're interested in seeing any other repairs, comment down below. Tell me what you want to see. If you want me to fix one of your clusters, contact me. I'm more than happy to do mail-ins. Um, you know, I generally do these for a really reasonable price. Just shoot me an email. It all depends on if I got the parts for the particular cluster you want fixed. I currently don't work on anything older than 99 because they tend to fall apart. The plastic gets brittle, especially down here in the south. They get real hot and plastic gets brittle. But yeah, just let me know what you want to see more videos of down in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you learned something.